Alright everyone, we have PB 14.10 changes right now, reacting to it live. Okay, we have new runes, a lot of changes on items and certain changes on champs, I think, like Corky, which we already a little bit talked about. First of all, we're gonna talk about certain runes, okay? So lethal tempo is gonna be gone. Riot does not want lethal tempo to be in the game anymore, because champions are skipping attack speed items because lethal tempo gives you a lot of stats, okay? And instead of that, they're just stacking raw AD items, lifesteal, and other stats they need. Like a good example of that is just stun mid. She buys Kraken, which is some attack speed, and Zerkers, which is some attack speed, but mostly then she goes Nabori, LDR, BT, and whatever else. Only AD items after, okay? So lethal tempo is gone. This is going to heavily impact Yon Yasuo especially, right? Tryndamere is going to be very sad because this is a rune he uses. Yeah, those champions are going to have to find something else. Currently, I think most champions are going to swap to Fleet. Or PTA, because Conquer, sadly, is just really weak. So for example, Yon and Yasuo, I expect them to go probably Fleet. ADCs that used lethal tempo well, they're probably going to go PTA or Fleet. Then the next change we have is PTA. So I believe, I'm going to quickly check it like this, PTA, but I believe, wait, what? Press the attack. It has to be press the attack here. So press the attack is going to have a little bit less damage. The amplify damage amp is going to go 8% to your damage to all targets for 5 seconds, refreshing in combat. And then cooldown 5 seconds out of combat. Okay. So this means that PTA, you will be able... it doesn't include allies anymore. So it seems like PTA will not amplify ally damage anymore, if I'm reading this correctly. It will be easier to proc. Not easier to proc. It will be... You will proc it more often. You will keep it proc the entire time in combat, okay? This is amazing. I think this is in general a buff to the ability. Unless the trait is really short, right? Yeah, you're losing slightly less damage, but you're going to constantly apply PTA to the opponent. I would say this is a buff to the champion. Next we have Fleet. I didn't even know this is in the game. So Fleet is going to get nerfed. Minions still reduce effectiveness to 0.2x and 0.1 for range. Speed duration is buffed. Okay. So Fleet is going to heal slightly less. It's going to give you more speed. Overall, I think that the Keystone is still okay. I don't really see how this is, a big thing. Next we have is Overheal. Overheal is going to be gone from the game. I don't mind this. Overheal is very hard to balance and it is very strong, especially in pro players and high elo players' hands, because they know how to do a specific setup where they go like vampiric with overheal and then they abuse the, for example, ADC champions are tankier than they should be. I don't mind. Instead, they're giving a rune which is called Absorb Life. Absorb Life is right here. Kills you, killing a target heals you for 2 to 17 health, linear. Okay. So this means that this rune is heavily skewed towards late game, if I understand it correctly. And the rune is more versatile. Because for example, Triumph is more of a conditional rune, and so is Presence of Mind, right? If your champion doesn't use mana or doesn't have mana issues, Presence of Mind is not that good, right? Triumph, well, if you're not very action-heavy champion, maybe this rune is not that good. The reality is that Absorb Life is going to be good on any champion, pretty much, besides supports. Right? So this rune is a little bit more versatile than Overheal. But it heals you basically on everything. Creep, like if you farm minion waves. So for example, at level 1, if you kill a whole wave, like what is that, like 12 health or something? And then like at level 3, it's gonna give you around like what, 20 health? Something like that. It's like a taste of blood proc in lane, pretty much. It obviously rewards better players, because better players last hit better. Yeah. I still think most champions are going to take Presence of Mind and Triumph if they use it very well. And if you don't use any of those runes, you probably take Absorb Life. Next thing, Legend Tenacity is removed. What does this mean? Well, first of all, Legend Tenacity was not very good already because they nerfed it really hard. But certain champions, more specifically Tryndamere, had to use it because CC is such a huge counter to Trinda. What does this mean, the Legend Tenacity being gone? Well, it's pretty simple. CC is going to be overpowered. It already is, it's gonna get even better. It wouldn't surprise me if team comps, best team comps in the game are going to be 3 to 4 CC champions stacking. Honestly, that already is the case right now. The reality is that right now, Maybe certain champions like Vayne can dodge CC pretty hard because of amount of move speed they build into their builds, but I just think CC is gonna be even stronger. It already is. They're replacing Legend Tenacity with a new rune called Legend of Haste. It's pretty simple. You basically get stacks like Alacrity and Bloodline, and at max stacks you get 15 haste. This is good news for mages or spellcasters, like maybe Jace and Pantheon specifically. If your champion abuses haste, you will want this rune, okay? This allows mages maybe to go more into the precision tree. I personally like the addition of the rune, but I don't like the fact that there's so little tenacity in the game and that crowd control is gonna be so fucking broken. Cut down is gonna get changed. Damage amp from 5 to 15% at 10 to 100% of target's health advantage to 8% at 60% target health. So cut down is gonna be new. It means that if enemy has more than 60% health, you will deal 8% more damage. While for example, coup de grace deal 8% more damage if enemy has less than 40% health. In my opinion, this rune is fucking garbage. Just like coup de grace. I still think Last Stand is probably the best rune by far. Just the reality is that Last Stand is not really used on a lot of champions. So yeah, you're gonna have to swap between Cut Down and Coup de Grace in games where Last Stand feels underwhelming. Old Cut Down was very OP on low squishy HP target champions. The best Cut Down user in the game was most likely Yuumi and Senna. Now it's different. So then we have Domination. Let's jump into Domination. First we have Predator being removed. This is straight up good for the game. Predator was a dumb keystone. It was severely underpowered. It promotes toxic and degenerate gameplay. Goodbye. Next up we have Halo Blades. Halo Blades is getting a nerf to range. I think good for the game. Halo Blades, again, I do think the keystone is also kind of toxic for the game. I think it promotes very unskilled trade patterns for certain champions. This is going to this is going to nerf especially supports that play Halo Blades, like double Halo Blades bottom meta, Caitlyn and Ashe support, racking you down in the 2v2. Decent change, I like this. Next we have Sudden Impact, and I didn't even read this one yet. So it says, damaging basic attacks and ability damage deals a bonus true damage to enemy champions after using a leap, dash, blink or teleport while leaving stealth for 5 seconds. Cooldown is 10 seconds. So, Sudden Impact is gonna do 20 to 80 scaling linear true damage after your next basic attack or ability, if you use a dash. This rune, on a lot of champions, sounds bad. On the champion that it sounds good on, LeBlanc. LeBlanc is gonna get a crazy dumb play pattern with this rune, which is going to be W forward and auto attack and W back for 3 damage. It's probably a worse rune on before, on pretty much everything but LeBlanc, if I kinda see it. Maybe LeBlanc is better with it, that's kinda it. Not personally a fan of this rune. I think the cooldown is most likely just too long. 10 seconds just sounds too long of a cooldown. Ingenious Hunter is being removed. The reason for removal of Ingenious Hunter is most likely because it's probably just very unpopular and people do not understand how to use it, aka the dumb player base. Ingenious Hunter was good situationally with certain items, maybe like Thunder Sky or whatever. It's gone. I don't mind it. The rune was very situational. I kinda get Riot's point of view why they removed it. But you can see that a lot of runes are being removed, which means you're getting less options. Personally, I would like if Riot would add more options to the runes. Next up, Relentless Hunter will get starting out of combat move speed nerfed to 0, which means the rune is just getting nerfed. I don't even know why. I don't think this rune is that oppressive. I think the rune is okay. I'm not sure why they're nerfing it. But basically level 1, when you have no stacks, you will no longer get 5 bonus MS. I think this just makes the rune slightly worse. Yeah, nothing here to say. I think most champions do not take Relentless Hunter. Most champions do not take Treasure Hunter. These runes are not very good. If you go Domination, you kinda have to pray your champion is a good ultimate Hunter user. Then we have Resolve changes. Next up. Font of Life, impairing movement no longer applies on hit heal over time for allies. Impairing movement now heals you and the lowest health nearby ally for 10 to 50 linear, 0.7 for range users. Presumably that means in the Font of Life owner is melee range, then the ally gets 0.7. Yeah, probably. So basically, they're making this rune easier to proc for champions that have like CC. Right now, I'm not really sure which champion is gonna use this. Maybe like Rel, I could see being used. This is just a rune for mainly supports and maybe top laners if you have a tank CC top laner. Maybe, I'm not sure. But this sounds just like a support rune for early game. Not really sure what to say. This sounds like a Nautilus, Rel, Alistar type of rune. Next up, First Strike. I didn't even see this. Damage champ is gonna go back to 8%. Remember, when First Strike was first released, it was 10%. Then it went to 9, then it went to 8, then it went to 7, I think. Now it's going back to 8. Base gold is gonna get buffed on the rune. Melee gold from bonus damage is gonna get cut in half. Range gold from bonus damage is gonna get cut in half. Wow. That is crazy. That is crazy. So, I totally get why First Strike has to be nerfed, especially for melee champions. You have games where Rengar jungle just randomly gets 2k gold from this rune for a joke. I totally get it. This rune is extremely unbalanced on champions like Rengar. But goddamn, I feel like this rune is just that. What? I don't know why it's getting nerfed from range. This rune was not good on range, trust me. It was so specific that your champion was abusing this rune to max potential and range. Personally, I think it's just a dead rune. I don't really see how. It's just that. Next up, futures market is removed. Then we have, which I personally think it's okay. Then we have cashback. That's a new rune. You get 6% gold back when you purchase a legendary item. There's some other unknown data values for 150 and minus 150, but not sure what they mean. Could just be minimum refunds or maybe just leftover. Okay. So instead, a triple tonic, by the way, is going to move to this row, which is very bad news, by the way. Anyway, so basically now, when you go mid lane, especially for mid laners right here, right, you're going to have to decide between this rune and this rune. Now, cashback is going to give you 6% gold back. Okay, so let's say we buy Malignance. Malignance is like 2070, right? 6% of 2700 is 162 gold. So this rune is going to give you on legendary items between 160 to 220, something around there, gold back when you buy those items. So if we go to late game, this rune is going to give you, let's say, I don't know, 700, 800 gold through the game. But is that a good rune? I'm not sure, because you get the gold after you purchase each item, right? And 200 gold is less worth late game than it is in early game, right? And then on top of that, magical footwear is just a free 300 gold at 12 minutes or earlier for 10 more move speed. Personally, it does kind of feel like a snowballing rune, but I'm not really sure how good this will be. Personally, I'm kind of unhappy here because triple tonic is getting moved away from this tree. And now, for example, on mid lane, I'm not sure why timer consuming a potion grants 40% of its health restoration immediately. Is that new? I don't know. So the problem is on mid lane champions, a lot of times you want cookies and triple tonic. Now you will only be able to choose between one. Anyway, to go here. So triple tonic moves the row. Time warp tonic will go again, will also move the row from last row to this row right here. And then time warp tonic will no longer work in biscuits, will no longer work on mana. Corruption potion is also removed. No longer grants 2% MS while the potion is active. Immunity potion has health restore is up to 40%. This rune is terrible. It is trash. It is terrible. It is by far the worst rune I've ever read in my entire life. It is garbage. Never take this. So mages now are going to have to decide if they have inspiration tree. They're gonna probably take this and probably one of these, right? This is the play for most mages. Or you're gonna take like boots or this and then one of this or this. But yeah, okay. So again, cookies are still okay. Triple tonic of certain champs is going to be very good. But for example, something like Hui, who maybe likes cookies and likes triple tonic, won't be able to take both. It's sad. Next up, minion demat is removed. I'm very sad about this. Minion demat is one of my favorite runes. I'm really sad they're removing this rune. I maybe get it that new players don't know how to use demat, but as a high elo player, demat is legit amazing. The thing that I don't like about demat is supports. Supports can just one-shot a cannon and give a stack instantly. I think that interaction kinda is toxic, but for mid laners specifically, I'm fucking sad about this. Certain champions that really rely on demat to one-shot range champions are going to be very sad. We're talking about Twisted Fate being very sad here. Right? It's sad. I don't know what to say. Then we get a new rune called Jack of Trades. For each different stat gained from items, gain 1 Jack stack. Each stack grants you 1 ability haste, gain bonus adaptive force at 5 and 10 stacks. So, I don't really know. The problem with this rune is that I'm not really sure how many stats League has, or like what type of build you can go that like you get so many stats from this rune. I'm not really sure. For mages specifically, what do you get? You get like mana, health maybe, haste maybe, AP, and is there anything else? I'm kind of confused here. So you get 4 haste from this rune. Maybe you get Moose Pit, 5. Magic Pen maybe if you have it. There's just not a lot here. Like maybe if you use some hybrid type of champion like Kai'Sa or Jax or Kayle, maybe you can get a lot here. But overall, personally, I doubt people are gonna use this. I think Cosmic Insight is just such a basic, well-rounded rune that people are most likely gonna keep taking this. Overall, the saddest part about Inspiration Tree for me is minion demat removal. And maybe Triple Tonic being same row as Cookies, and maybe First Check being kinda that. I'm not too excited about Cashback, and I'm also not too excited about Jack of Trades. Does not seem that interesting to me. And these are all the rune changes. So, wait, what is this? So, okay, I'm gonna read some things here. Minion XP splits. Solo 95 XP, group split evenly 124 XP. Okay, so it seems like bot lane is gonna get more XP. Is that what I'm reading here? It sounds like support will be more incentivized to stay also in lane with this change. So they're buffing bot lane XP. Personally, I think it's okay. I totally think it's okay. I do think solo lanes probably have a little bit more too much XP compared to ADC especially. And this change may basically incentivize support to stay more in bot lane, which means less roaming, or support gets slightly more punished by roaming. I think I'm totally fine with this. Bounties, death, shriek penalty, no idea what this actually controls. Okay, no clue either. So these are the rune changes, and next up I think it's mostly just items, right? So I'm gonna go in game now and check what items we have. Oh, okay, summoner spells. Let's also talk about summoner spells. So summoner spells should be right here. So we have a lot of summoner spell changes. First of all, barrier is gonna get buffed. Shield from barrier is gonna be 2.5 seconds, so longer, which to be honest, not a fan of. I think barrier being 2 seconds is skill expressive because you need to click it at the right moment. And the shield is gonna go up. I am not too excited about barrier being much better. So after barrier, so barrier getting better doesn't excite me too much because usually barrier is only an ADC rune. And then on top of that, you know, it incentivizes hyper carry ADCs or whatever to be more played with like a supportive Lulu, and Lulu goes the heal and then the Jinx goes the barrier or the Lucian or whatever the hell. It gets kind of boring to me. But fine, sure, barrier, I agree it's underwhelming, it probably deserves a slight buff. Okay, sure. Cleanse. Linger and tenacity will be 75% for 3 seconds. Cooldown will be increased by 30. This is mostly an ADC nerf to cleanse. I mean, it's a nerf and a buff, but I think it's mostly a nerf because the cooldown is longer. Again, I don't know what Riot is thinking. They're making CC constantly stronger. Cleanse being nerfed makes, again, CC stronger. I'm really worried about CC. Next we have Exhaust. Slow will be up by 10%, the cooldown will be up by 30 seconds. Okay, so Exhaust is straight up just nerfed. I think cooldown being bigger is a nerf to the summoner spell. Tia Blade, thank you for the raid. So, the thing about Exhaust for me Sorry, the thing about everything I'm saying here is that these summoner spells are gonna be 30 seconds longer for an average, a lot of these summoner spells, which means that Cosmic Insight is gonna be slightly buffed this way because Cosmic Insight gives you, I think, % refund, and then on top of that, Riot just wants cooldowns of spells to be longer so their summoner spells happen less often. I kind of get it, because the problem we had in League of Legends for the past 2, 3, 4 years is that a lot of players went Cosmic Insight plus Society Boots combo, and then summoner spells became way too fast and way too often you would use them. Okay, Ghost is getting a nerf for range and melee. 2 seconds of duration of Ghost. Cooldown is gonna be up by 30. Double nerf for Ghost. Top laners are gonna be very sad. I totally get Ghost is OP in ADC. My proposed change was that Ghost would be nerfed for range champs specifically. Here, I definitely think champs like, I don't know, Garen, Tryndamere, Nasus, like anything that uses Ghost is very sad. This means that Flash is gonna be used more often. This means that champions like Cassandra might consider using Flash over Ghost. Because a lot of Cassandra players, for example, do Ghost TP, right? Or Fiora does Ghost TP, Nard does Ghost TP. This is gonna be severely nerfed. Wouldn't be surprised if most champions just go Flash TP. Heal, technically a bug fix. Heal has 850 cast range. If nothing is within 200 center of cursor, then it finds the lowest percent within 850 center. Okay, this doesn't do anything. Same summon spell. Ignite, same. So, by nerfing Exhaust, by nerfing Cleanse cooldown, by nerfing Ghost, Flash becomes better. Teleport becomes better. Ignite becomes better. Ignite is still gonna be 180 seconds of cooldown. Ignite is by far the lowest cooldown summoner spell. Okay, players are more incentivized to go Ignite. Then I want to quickly talk about Corki. So we have some stats on Corki finally. So it's what I was talking about earlier when I was reacting to Corki yesterday. So you can see the increased base HP of Corki, they're gonna give him lower per level, which is buff to bot lane, nerf to mid lane. AD is gonna go down by 6, right? So worse early game. Armor is gonna go up early, worse late. So again, buff ADC, worse for mid lane. Attack speed is gonna go up. Corki is gonna be slightly more attack speed based. And then I'm not sure what ACQ range means. I have no idea what this means. Then we have this. Q numbers we have here. Missile speed is gonna get slightly increased. Missile minute travel time slightly decreased. Cooldown down to 7 seconds. His level 9 spike is gonna be nice. Mana cost on Q down, so more spammable Q. WT crate slightly up. Now has a minimum range of 300, which I didn't know. Before you could like W in the same spot, now you cannot do that anymore. Cost of W is gonna be up to 100 max rank. Cooldown on E, 4 seconds less, rank 70 mana. So Corki is gonna be a bit more mana hungry, unless you only use Q. Damage type only physical. Total damage strat, 20 down max range and scale down. Strats up by 4 pretty much, and strats faster. R damage cost 35 mana, ammo 6, ammo recharge 20 at all ranks. Basic attacks now refund 5 seconds of ammo charge. You auto-attack someone 4 times, you get your rocket back. That is crazy number. Base damage is gonna go up by a lot, but scaling is gonna be 70% bonus at all ranks, which means late game Corki rocket is not gonna do as much. Early to mid game is gonna be very good. AP scaling removed. So yeah, Corki is really gonna be a lot more about early game. You can really see it via the numbers. This is just what I wanted to talk about. Then we have a summoner spell, and now we have items. So I'm gonna go in game and talk about how items are gonna impact the game. It's mostly gonna be ADC based. So let's just pick, I don't know, let's just pick an ADC, I guess. Let's just pick an ADC, like it matters. Go with a PTA room page. So first of all, Corruption Potion being removed is straight up a good thing for the game. Corruption Potion, I think Dorn items are better, starting items. I think Corruption Pot meta was very toxic. I think Corruption Potion is extremely weak. It shouldn't bait players into buying it. If Riot doesn't want to buff Corruption Potion, they should remove it. So I'm kind of happy with the removal of Corruption Potion. Next, we have a lot of boots changes. So first of all, Boots of Sweetness. Boots of Sweetness are gonna get a new passive, which is going to be attacks will now grant you 20 on range or 30 for melee move speed for 2 seconds. Okay, we used to have boots like this in the game back in the day. So back in the day, you could buy upgrades for your boots. This is where you got home guards on, and now you're gonna get move speed on attack. This is going to be amazing on some auto attack based champions, probably mostly ADCs. However, these boots give you less move speed. They used to give you 60 move speed. Now they give you 45 like any other boots. They're still 900 gold, but that's about it. And also they do not give you slow resist anymore. So these boots are going to be, if you don't need an attack speed item like Berserker, you probably go these boots on like a range. This is probably better on range than melee. Maybe like, yeah, this is it. The reality is that most champions will probably still need Zerkers though. So I don't really know how much these boots are going to be purchased. I know Jhin will get 20 MS guys, but Jhin doesn't auto-attack that often. He has 4 bullets and he needs to reload. I kinda doubt this is a Jhin boots. Maybe though. I mean, then again, Jhin doesn't really buy Berserkers anyway, right? So maybe. Merc chats are going to be 100 gold cheaper. So you can see that most boots went, some boots went 100 gold down. So Taba and Mercs both went 100 gold down. Merc chats are going to be 5 MR up. So they're going to give you 30 MR, which is kind of crazy. I don't know why these boots are giving you so much MR. And they're going to give you 10% less tenacity. So again, Riot is buffing CC even more than before. I hate it. They have the same direction in Valorant, where they buffed flashes in Valorant, which is basically CC in Valorant. It is so stupid. I hate it. I hate a meta where you basically cannot move, because that just makes you feel so shit when you play a game. So yeah, that's pretty much it. 100 gold less down, less tenacity, but more MR. They're going to be purchased in the same spots as before, when people have CC and you need MR. So again, magic damage team comps are gonna be set. Tabai are getting actually pretty big nerf here, in my opinion. 100 gold down for 5 more armor, but the block percentage from auto attacks goes down by 4% from 12. I would say this is probably a nerf to Tabai, but again, you're buying Tabai in the same spots you're buying it before. Nothing really changes. You can see that one boots here is missing, which is mobility boots. Mobility boots is gone from the game. Personally, happy. I think mobility boots promote toxic, degenerate gameplay, just like a lot of other items in the game. They shouldn't be really in the game. I'm happy. And that's it for boots. It looks like, I think Berserker is the same. Lucidity looks exactly the same. Sork boots look the same. That's it for boots. So then we have a new item. I'm just gonna go one by one. Symbiotic souls. Oh wait, no, these are boots too. But they're not shown here. Never mind. So these are also new boots that they added. 900 gold, 35 MS, which is less than Sweetness boots, which is less than other boots, okay? This is 10 less move speed. Your recoil is empowered, which means your recoil is going to be 4 seconds at all stations of the game. After traveling 150k units of distance, gain 45 move speed when out of combat. I don't know how exactly long you're gonna need to run to get 150k units of distance. I don't know on average how fast this is going to happen. But I think they're interesting. I think they're interesting. Having an empowered recoil can be pretty impactful. I do think these boots look pretty interesting. Now, I know a lot of people are also saying Berserker boots specifically are getting an upgrade to a full item that you can purchase only after level 15. This is new in the game. No other boots can be upgraded, as you can see. Okay, so late game champions, especially ADCs who will go Berserker, will be able to buy Zephyr. Okay, this is going to make ADCs stronger in late game at 6 items, 5 items. Zephyr will give you even more attacks, but will give you even more move speed, and will give you a passive where slows are 20% less effective. I don't think this is too game breaking. The reason why I don't is because Zephyr will not probably be purchased until you get to very, very late game. And ADC, I'm totally fine with them being the strongest role in the game. Okay, what Riot is trying to do is nerf ADCs early game and buff them late. I am totally fine with this. So far, I don't think this is problematic. So next item is, so we're gonna go over now basic items, okay? So Dagger is getting a change. Dagger is getting a nerf. Dagger attack speed is gonna be from 12% to 10%. Most sad champs about this are for sure Yon and Yasuo. Not much to say. I don't know why Dagger is getting nerfed. I don't think this should have happened. Balmy Cinder is getting a change. Balmy Cinder will have a new build path. Before it was double Ruby Crystal. Now it's not anymore. On top of that, Balmy Cinder will now grant 5 ability haste. It will give you 100 less health. And damage to non-champions will be higher on the burn by just a little bit. Overall, personally, also it's 100 gold cheaper. Not really sure how to feel about this. If you exactly base on 900 gold, you're probably happy because you can purchase a full item. If you have 1k build, 1k gold, you're probably happier with the old Balmy, I would assume. Then we have a new item called Fated Ashes. I haven't even seen this. It does 40 ability power and it has an inflame. Dealing damage with abilities causes enemies to burn for 7 magic damage per second for 3 seconds. This damage increases by 20 per second to monster. So champions that want dot or that have dots are going to use this item. This is like a very mini Lianji. Lilia Jungle is going to be happy. Brand is going to be happy. Malzahar is going to be happy. Basically dot champions. Not much to say. Maybe Cassiopeia is happy. Okay. Seems totally fair. Okay. Cool. I think it's cool. Hardbound Axe is also getting a change. Hardbound Axe is going to cost now 1300 gold, so 150 gold more than before. On top of that, it gives you 5 more AD and 5 less attack speed. I still think this item is trash. Next is Kirche Shard. Kirche Shard, guys, this is an item, the mini item that builds into static shoe is removed from the game, okay? This is the item that AD LeBlanc abused. I'm totally fine with that. I think that item was kinda meh. I'm personally happy. Then we have Noonquiver is getting a change. I didn't even see this. Noonquiver. Wait, that's it? What? That's it? What? Noonquiver now gives you 20 crit, 5 less AD, no attack speed, and no passive for minion and monster bonus damage. And 100 gold more. Trash item. Legit trash item. Never buying this. Most useless trash crap item. Wrecker Bow is getting a change. Wrecker Bow passive will now deal physical damage over magic damage, which is a nerf to the item. Okay. Magic damage, champions have less magic resist than they have armor. This is a nerf, slight nerf to Wrecker Bow. We have a new item called Scout Slingshot. This item will give you 20 attack speed and it's gonna have a passive kind of like Hectic Alternator. Magic Rock. So 40-second cooldown. You damage an enemy champion, will deal additional 40 magic damage. Attacks reduce this cooldown by 1 second. So if you're constantly attacking the enemy, you can proc this quite often. However, to me this item still feels kinda crap. Only 20 attack speed for 900 gold? Meh, IMO. Seems meh. Seems pretty bad. Next up is Verdant Barrier. Verdant Barrier is getting a simple change. It's gonna be 100 gold cheaper. Not much to say. In a game where you want Banshee or Verdant Barrier, mages are happier, or AP champs in general. Zeal is getting a slight buff. Zeal will now give 5% more crit. I still think the item is not that good. Now we're going to legendary items, and this is where the big changes are gonna happen, okay? So first of all, we're just gonna go, I have Rabbit Thread open, I'm just gonna go one by one, whichever order the Rabbit Thread has it. So BT is getting a change. So BT will have now Pickaxe in the build path instead of Cloak of Agility. So IMO, personally, I think the build path is better for the most part. This sounds like old BT because it has no crit, it only has raw AD and lifesteal. It is a very expensive item, but it lost its passive or bonus AD. Now it's gonna, and it has a lot of AD. It used to give 55 AD, now it gives 80. On top of that, it has again a passive where it gives you 50 to 400 shield, decaying over 25 seconds of being out of combat. So they're bringing BT back with a shield. Personally, slightly unhappy here. Because first of all, shield on BT IMO is just toxic for the game. It makes ADCs tankier than they should be, blah blah blah. Certain champions like Javen are obviously very happy with this item. I think this item looks in general much better because it gives you a lot of AD and a lot of lifesteal. It is expansive, has a better build path. Yeah, certain champions are gonna love this change. Next up, collector changes. Collector is going to be 100 gold more expensive. It's going to have a BF sword instead of a pickaxe in the build path. Okay, so a lot of items right now have BF sword in the build path. Crit chance of collector, aka every legendary crit chance item is gonna have now 25% crit instead of 20. So basically you need 4 items to reach 100% crit. Okay, good change. AD on collector is gonna be 5 up. Lethality is gonna be 1 down. Overall, to me, the item seems pretty similar to before. Slightly harder to achieve. Probably, I would say, slightly better. I mean, technically, no. I'm completely wrong. The build path is slightly worse because BF is harder to achieve. But it doesn't really matter. This item is actually just better. Now that I think about it. This item is just better. You're just basically getting a better collector for 100 more gold. Yeah, this item is just better. Essence River is getting a huge change. First of all, 300 more gold expansive. Build path is no longer a Shin item. Okay, GP is set, Ezreal is set. It's no longer a Shin item. Instead, it has a BF sword. For stats, it will give 5 more AD than before. It will give 5 more haste than before. It will give 5 more crit than before. It has a new passive, which is not a spellblade passive. It's just basically you attack, you get some mana per hit. Obviously, champions that will attack a lot and are mana hungry are going to be happy. I guess Seaver is kind of happy with this. I would assume Lucian maybe if he needs it. I would assume what else do we have? Misfortune maybe. Misfortune can be mana hungry. Zaya can be mana hungry. I would say these champions are probably happy. If you are not a mana hungry champion though, you will probably not be buying this. Immortal Shieldbow is getting changes. I'm not really gonna comment much on Immortal Shieldbow because if you read the item, you can see it's the worst item in the fucking video game. They somehow the item is missing like a stat here, like lifesteal, attack speed. Something is missing on this item. It's the worst item ever, so I'm even gonna skip this. They're gonna change this. There's no point discussing this. Infinity Edge is getting a change. Cost on Infinity Edge is going to be 100 gold more. 100 gold more expensive, but it will give you 5% more crit and 15 more AD. This item is amazing. This item got massively buffed. This item will be overpowered. 100%. No doubt about this. This could be an item ADCs actually rush. I'm not kidding. The new ADC build might be Infinity Edge Rush into PD. We're gonna see PD soon. So this is it. Item is just buffed. I think item will be overpowered. Kraken Slayer. I haven't even seen this one. So Kraken Slayer is getting some changes. First of all, 100 gold more expensive. Second of all, different build path. You're gonna buy it from Red Strix now, Hardbound Axe, which is a terrible item, and Wrecker Bow, which got slightly nerfed. Okay, not the best build path in my opinion. Quiver build path was way better. Okay, crit chance from the item is straight up gone. It will now grant you 7% MS. It will grant you 10 more AD than before. It will grant you 5% more attack speed than before. And then passive damage jump is gonna go a bit different. Every third basic attack deals 140% physical damage on hit, increased to 100% based on their missing health. So Kraken Slayer will no longer be, hey, if I can auto-attack you multiple times, I'm doing more damage. It's more about, if you're low HP, I'm gonna do a lot of damage. Personally, I find it a little bit underwhelming. Sure, moon speed is a nice stat, but the problem with the item is it gives you no crit. So when do you buy this? This is an early game item, right? Kraken Slayer is an early game item. So if you want to buy Kraken Slayer, you're buying this item, but you don't have crit. To me, this seems like an item maybe on on-hit type of champions, not for crit users. So I would imagine every ADC that uses crit, or Yon and Yasuo specifically, are probably never going to be buying this ever again. This is probably an auction item, or something like that. Yeah, if you don't use crit, you're happier, right? Even though the build path is worse. This is still a fine item for auction or whatever. Okay. Next up, we have huge changes to Lord Dominic's. Lord Dominic's will give you 40% armor pen, which is a ridiculous number. It's up by 5%. It's way too much. It will make ADCs delete tanks in late game. Even if you're full armor, ADCs will kill you with LDR through it. This item will also not be bad to rush. This item just seems insane. It has higher crit, higher armor pen, and has 5 more AD. It lost its passive, which is a nerf in certain cases, but also a buff in certain cases, right? Senna is probably kind of sad because Senna used the passive really well. But if you're not Senna and you're a high HP ADC or whatever, you're kind of happy because you're not triggering the passive a lot. To me, this item seems way too insane. Why the fuck is this 40% armor pen? This should not be in the game. I think this is going to be nerfed. Mercurial Scimitar is getting a change which I haven't seen yet. It's going to be 300 more expansive. It lost Cloak of Agility, it got a Vampiric Scepter back. So before it didn't give lifesteal, in the past it gave lifesteal, now it didn't, now it's gonna give lifesteal again. So I'm kinda happy with this. So it got 10% lifesteal for removal of crit chance. And that's about it. Really? 300 more expansive? Is lifesteal really that much more worth? Personally, I think it's cool. I think the item still sounds cool. You're gonna buy this occasionally. Having lifesteal on an item like this is much better. The problem with the item is it's way too expensive. So this item will only be purchased when you're either snowballing or when the game goes super late game. Yeah, item is probably slightly nerfed in most cases though, I would assume. It is what it is. I'm still happy they keep it in the game. Mortal Reminder, not much to say. Item will give 5% more crit. Navori is gone from the game, and instead we get a new item called Navori Flickerbait. Navori Flickerbait is a very cheap option that gives you attack speed, crit, and move speed, which are very nice stats. On top of that, it has the passive of Transcendence, which is going to be your attacks reduce your non-ultimate ability cooldowns by 15%. Remember, Navori was 12%, okay? Let me just reset the game so this Israel bot doesn't win the game, though. Anyway, so Navori being so cheap and giving you only attack speed, you're going to want to pair this with Infinity Edge, right? So maybe the build could also be rush Infinity Edge on an ADC and then buy Navori after. Overall, if you're an ADC player, you have to expect your class to be weaker early and stronger late game with these items currently that I'm reading. Anyway, this is probably amazing on Sivir. This is probably amazing on Xayah. I'm not sure what else really how. Tristana, I'm not sure, maybe Tristana. The problem with Tristana is she doesn't really care that much about Transcendence. I think she still uses PD better. But anyway, it matches the PD price range, it matches Rapid Fire range, it matches RUNES range, it matches Phantom Dancer range. Personally, I think this is an amazing item for the game. It really is, because certain champions really want this. The only problem that I have is that I think it might be too OP. I think this Transcendence will need to be nerfed back to 12. That's my expectation. Overall, I'm really happy with this addition to the game, item to the game. Phantom Dancer, let's talk about Phantom Dancer next. Item looks bonkers. It looks bonkers, okay? So, cheaper by 200 gold. Just as good build path. Pretty decent build path. Move speed is gonna go up by 2%. Crit chance is gonna go up by 5%. AD is gonna be removed, so yeah, item doesn't give you AD. So you're gonna want to either rush this first and then buy an AD item after, or you want to get an Infinity or BT first and then a PD after. So yeah, this is just an attack speed item, which is totally fine. ADCs in general are going to have a lot more attack speed coming in 14.10 or whatever the patch is. On top of that, it lost its passive, but it has become ghosted still, the passive. It lost the passive of stacking attack speed, but that doesn't matter, because if you stack the whole passive, you had 65 attack speed. Now you get straight up 60% attack speed without stacking, which means the item is insane. IMO, this item looks insane. 12% move speed is such a ridiculous number that should never be in the game. I know Riot is trying to give a lot of move speed to ADCs, but PD already gave 10%. It already gave enough. This item will be nerfed 100%. There's no fucking way we're giving ADCs 12% move speed. On top of that, this could be a Yone and Yasuo rush item. I'm not kidding. You could rush this on Yone and Yasuo, especially Yone, because champs Yone and Yasuo love move speed. It could potentially be a Tryndamere item too. The problem is it doesn't give you any AD, and if enemy stacks armor, you'll do no damage though. So yeah, it needs to be into Squishy probably. Item looks insane to me. Next up we have Rapid Fire Cannon. Rapid Fire Cannon has a new build path. It lost Kirche Shard, instead it gets a Zeal and gets this Scout Slingshot item, which is kind of whatever. So overall, personally, build path, kind of meh, whatever, nothing too special. Crit chance on the item, again, up by 5%, AD completely removed. Attack speed up by 15%, which is going to give you 35% attack speed. And also the item is 400 gold cheaper. I forgot to say that. And the energized attack and the passive is exactly the same, I think, as before. Personally, I think it's a buff to the item. You want a cheaper rapid fire more than before. You're going to want to pair this with like Infinity Arch. So basically, as you can see, what Riot is doing is they're giving you one option, okay? So for example, let's say we're a normal ADC and this is our build and we buy Infinity Arch first. Well, now we're gonna have to be choosing between 4 attack speed items because we're not probably ever gonna buy 2 of those. We're only gonna buy 1. Does my champion want Navori passive? Does my champion want just raw stats of move speed and attack speed? Does my champion want rapid fire cannon? I personally think rapid fire cannon will never be bought when PD is this fucking insane. I just don't see it, but okay. And then RUNES as well, right? I think like when the patch comes out, expect the game to be completely unbalanced, okay? It's going to take 2-3 patches of Riot to fix up the game. Some of these items are way too overpowered. I wouldn't be surprised if the meta is a lot about ADC and tanks, because CC is going to be also OP. It wouldn't surprise me. PD just looks so insane. It's crazy. Yeah. RUNES Hurricane is getting some changes. It's going to be 200 gold cheaper to be aligned with 2.6k gold. It will no longer give 30 on-hit magic damage. Bolt total AD scaling is going to be up by 10%, so the bolts are going to do slightly more damage, especially later in the game, and the crit chance is going to be up by 5. RUNES is buffed. This item is straight up getting buffed, and I think all these 4 items are looking pretty crazy, but PD is just way too good. But yeah, even though RUNES lost 30 on-hit magic damage, technically, I'm not sure if I would count RUNES as a buff, honestly. Now that I think about it, maybe not. Nothing much to say. Static Shoe, let's talk about this next. I haven't really seen this either. So Static Shoe is going to have the same cost as before. It's going to get a new build path which stinks. Terrible build path. Crit chance on the item is removed. Attack speed on the item is increased. So it's going to give you 10% more attack speed. It has a new passive. Killing enemies, fires chain lightning that deals 90 magic damage, hitting up to 6 targets. Lightning from killing champions deals 270 magic damage and has no cooldown. And the cooldown of the normal lightning is only 3 seconds. So again, it's going to be a wave clear item. Okay, it sounds totally fair. However, I don't see how you will ever buy this item on any champion. There's just too many other insane items. I don't really see what this would be even useful for. I don't see it. I think this item looks crap. Next up, Storm Razor. The item that was also in the game now is going to be removed. That's what I haven't mentioned yet. Then we have a new item called Yuntal Wild Arrows. Yuntal Wild Arrows. Really weird name. It's going to be an item for 3.2k gold. It's going to give you a lot of AD and crit chance. And it's going to make your critical attacks deal more damage. It lost 35% of your total AD. Additional damage over 2 seconds. So it has a burn effect. Now let me show you exactly what this, how this shows, okay? So if I place a target dummy, I need more crit. So if I place a target dummy and then attack it, you will see that Okay, let me put it here. Sorry. Okay. Hello? Okay. So if I attack the target dummy, you can see that the target dummy has a bleed for 2 seconds, okay? That's how the item works. Overall, this is a late game item, and you obviously want to have, I don't know, 70, 80, 90, 100% crit chance before buying this. Will you buy this though? I am personally kind of skeptical. It's very expensive. I don't think it does a lot. I just don't see it currently, but I could be wrong. I don't see it right now. These are all the ADC item changes, apparently, according to the Reddit. Everything else is staying the same. So, oh wait, no, it's not. Never mind, it's not. We have some other items. Let me just go. Black Cleaver is the one I have to do now. So Black Cleaver is going to get buffed. It's pretty simple buff. The shred on Black Cleaver is going to be 6% now instead of 5%. So you're gonna reduce 30% of someone's armor at max rank. Just a Black Cleaver buff. Nothing really else to say. Next we have Blade of the Ruined King. Blade of the Ruined King is getting a lot of changes. So on range champions, it will deal only 6% of damage from 9. The Mist Edge passive, which is a huge nerf. On melee champions, it's going to go from 12 to 9%, which is also a huge nerf. Monster cap is going to go to 100, so Blade of the Ruined King is slightly better for junglers, doesn't matter. Stats of Blade of the Ruined King are going to get changed. This item will have 50 more AD, 5% more attack speed, and 2% more lifesteal. Yes, it gives you better stats. And also the passive, you can see Claving Shadows is different. You will now need to attack a champion 3 times to slow them. As in before, you only attack them once. So this is a nerf. Overall, even though the item gives you better stats, I think the item is crap. Miss Edge got nerfed way too hard for range and melee. I think Aurelia will probably be fucking sad. And I think this item is most likely that. In my opinion. I just don't see how this item will be good. Overlord. Where is this item? Overlord. What is even this? This is a new item, I think. This is a new item. Why can't I click it? Okay, there we go. Overlord's Bloodmail is a new item in League of Legends. It will buy from 2 tunnelers. It will give you 500 health and 40 AD. It will cost 3,300 gold. It has a new passive Tyranny. Gain 2% of your bonus health as attack damage. Retribution, gain up to 10% increased attack damage based on your percent missing health. An amazing item for Sion, an amazing item for Mundo. Guys, does this item remind you of anything? Well, this is Atma's Impaler. This item used to be in League of Legends in Season 1. It's just a different name with a different icon and slightly different stats. There used to be an item called Atma's Impaler that gave you basically this type of passive. This is an item for bruisers, for very tanky champs like Sion and Mundo specifically. Maybe Olaf will use it too. We'll see. Overall, I think cool item. Ravenous Hydra is getting a change. The cast range of Ravenous Hydra is increased by 25. From 325 to 350. Not much to say. Very small buff to Ravenous Hydra. Terminus is getting a change. Terminus has a new build path, which is Hardbound Axe instead of a BS Sword and Record Bow. Overall, the build path seems worse to me. As for stats of the item, 5 less AD and 5 more attack speed, which sounds fair. I think that's probably a buff because, 5 AD is more worth than 5% attack speed. However, champions that buy Terminus want to attack a lot. So, personally, I don't know, I think the item is kind of the same, just a worse build path, so I would say slight nerf to the item. Abyssal Mask is getting a change. Item will be 200 gold cheaper. Radius of the item will be 150 range higher, so it's gonna be way easier to get the radius off, which is a huge buff. The Amber Strat is gonna be different. Reduce nearby enemy champions magic resist by flat 20%. For each enemy affected, gain 9 magic resist. And the flat MR that the item gives you is down from 60 to 50. Overall, this item is fucking buffed. I think so. Now, yes. I'm not sure how much I'm not sure if you actually pen more magic resist from squishes, but from tanks you definitely do. To me, this item in every case, in my opinion, just looks buffed. To me, it looks kind of broken. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Next up is Anathema Chain. You guys know Anathema Chain, when you bind someone and they do 30% less damage to you, a Mundo item, it's removed from the game. A little bit unhappy with this removal. I think it was a cool, unique item, such as life. Riot removed it. Hollow Radiance, which is the Sunfire Cape for magic resist, is getting changes. It will now give you 10 ability haste, which is a new stat, and the health is going to be reduced from 600 to 450. Overall, I think the change is totally fine. I don't think it really matters. I think it's like fine. It's probably a slight nerf to the item, if you're being completely honest, but it's fine. Night's Vow is getting also changed. The Night's Vow is one of the most changed items in League. I swear, every year they change it so many times. So, Night's Vow will be the same cost. It will have a rejuvenation beat in the build path, which is just added to the build path. Okay, it doesn't really matter. The item will give you 5 less armor, will grant you now 100% base health regen, which before it didn't. Okay, the damage redirection is going to be now 12%. So the person that Night's Vow you will take more damage, will take slightly more damage. Redirect will no longer double if the linked ally is below 30% health. So if your ally is really low, it's not gonna double anymore. Yeah, basically TLDR it's just almost the same item. It's almost the same. It lost 5 armor. The passive is pretty much identical almost. And it has now some health regen. Looks very similar. Minimalistic change. Random Omen is getting a change. Random Omen will no longer inherit rock solid passive. So rock solid passive from Warden Mail, okay? So this Warden Mail has this rock solid passive, while Random Omens will no longer have it. Rock solid passive is like it reduces like flat damage from an auto attack. Find it weird that an item builds from rock solid, but then it doesn't have it when you upgrade it. I find that really weird. However, the changes to Random Omen are: the active will now give 70% slow instead of 55, which is a buff. Active cooldown will be 90 seconds, which is totally fair. I agree 60 seconds was a bit on the low end. I think that's fair. The health of the item is going to go down by 50, but the armor is going to be up by 20. And yeah, that's kind of it. Personally, I think the item is kind of identical than before. It gives you more armor, it gives you less health. Not really sure if, you know, I would call this a nerf or a buff. The item is basically the same. If enemy has a lot of crit champs, you buy this item, it's still going to be OP. If enemy doesn't have crit chance, you don't buy random. It's just the same. Doesn't really do anything. It's still OP against crit. How is Ezreal bot already destroying my Nexus again? I want to reset the game again. How is he that good? Okay, next up we have Sunfire Edges. So the normal Sunfire is getting a change. It will also grant now 10 ability haste, just like the MR Sunfire, but the health is also going to go down by 350 gold. So both the Sunfires will give you less health and some haste. Again, overall I would call this a slight nerf to the item. Unending Despair, an item that almost nobody fucking buys because it's so underwhelming, is getting a buff. The cooldown of Anguish will be up from down from 7 seconds to 5. So the item is getting buffed. Yeah, personally happy with this. I think the item should be buffed. I want to see more of this item and I want to see how good it is. Not much to say, just a what? This is like a 20% buff to this uptime of the tick rate to this or whatever. Yeah, it's good. Now, Ingenious Hunter is gone from the game, so you can't pair Ingenious Hunter with this item anymore, but this is still a very solid buff to the item. Varmok's Armor is getting another change. Health on Varmok's Armor is going to be increased by 250. It's going to give you now 1000 health from 750. And then innate, base health region is going to be down from 200% to 100%. The other item is just the same. The rest of the item is the same. So, if you just think about it, this item got massively buffed. There's nothing really to say. Like, Varmok is just massively buffed. There's nothing else to say. I guess Sejuani is going to be happy. Sometimes, like, Sejuani rushes this. I don't know, maybe some other tanks are going to start rushing this. Yeah, this is just a buff to Varmok's armor. Pretty big one. Winter's Approach is getting a change. Winter's Approach is going to be the same cost, but it's going to have a Giant's Belt instead of a Ruby Crystal. So better build path, straight up a better build path. The item is going to give you 150 more health. The item is going to give you, instead of 8% of total mana, 15% of bonus mana. So I would say that's probably a nerf. I don't know how the math works on that. Yeah, to me the item is probably buffed in most cases, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the math is on the passive. Overall, it seems pretty similar item. Maybe slightly buffed. The champion that I can definitely see abusing this is maybe Tank Rice. Tank Rice will go nuts with this. Ziggs Convergence is getting a change. Ziggs Convergence has the same cost. It will have a different build path. It will no longer build from Glacier's Buckler. It will instead have a Cloth Armor and a Null Magic Mantle. Ability haste on the item, 10 down. HP on the item, 100 up. Armor, 5 down than before. Now it will grant 25 MR, which is new, and mana is removed. To me, straight up a buff. You would much rather have 25 MR than 250 mana. Straight up a buff to the item, for no reason. This is a joke. Next, we have AP item changes. Banshee's Veil apparently gonna change. I didn't even see this. So apparently it says here that Banshee Veil will grant you move speed when the shield breaks, but when you go over an item it doesn't say anything, so I'm not really gonna comment on that. So let's talk about AP items. Currently in the game, when you buy AP items, you usually have 3 options on mana champions, right? When you buy Lost Chapter, you usually have 3 options, which is either you buy Ludens, you buy Archangel, you buy Malignus. Riot has now added a new option specifically for dot champions, okay? And it is basically a mini old Lianji, and I think it's a fantastic addition to the game, okay? So it builds out of the Fated Ashes, which I went over before, okay? It has 2.8k cost. It gives you 25 haste, just like all other mana items. 90 AP, just like, for example, Malignance gives you 80. For example, Ludens gives you 95, so it gives you almost Ludens worth of AP. 600 mana, just the same as all these other items of AP. It gives you a passive. Passive. Ability, dealing damage with abilities causes enemies to burn for 20 plus 4%, okay? It has an AP scaling. 20 plus 4%. Magic damage per 3 seconds. Increased by 20 per seconds to monsters. Okay? So it does a little bit more to monsters. So something like Lilia might be considering buying this. Right? Maybe Brand Jungle might consider buying this if he needs mana. But the thing is, jungle champions don't really need mana, right? Because of the mana region item. And that's kind of it. Personally, I think this is an amazing addition to the game. This is an item that really certain champions need, like Mazahar. Maybe Swain will buy this. Cassiopeia. I don't know who else I'm missing, but yeah. Dot champions on mid lane are going to like this to buy this. This is totally fair. Maybe Hui will like this. Honestly, this could be a Hui item, right? It could be. Now, the thing is, Hui kind of wants Seraph in a lot of cases because of the shield, because he's squishy. But if he doesn't need Seraph, then he would probably like this a lot. Yeah, I think it's just good. Downcore is getting a change. So this is a support item. It will have the same cost, but it will build out of 2 forbidden idols instead of a Banded Glass Mirror, which I think is a buff to the build. This item used to give you Summoner Spell Haste. It got removed. It will no longer give you Summoner Spell Haste. But it will also no longer give you Ability Haste. Wait, what? That's it? Oh no. Passive AP per 100% magic pen will go up to 10. So it will give you more AP now, the more magic regen you have. And it grants you now 16% innate heal and shield power. And passive heal and shield power will go from 3% to 2%. So basically, not much to say. If you're a champion like Soraka or Lulu, you might consider buying this because it looks pretty good. You want to stack mana region on this item, and you're going to get a lot of heal and shield power. So basically, if your champion is healing and shielding a lot, the item is probably pretty good. I think it's probably better than before, honestly, now that I'm reading this. Next, we have Lianji's Torment. Lianji's Torment is getting some changes. It will have a different build path. That's it. So it lost Blasting Wand in build path and has a Fated Ashes in build path. This is a buff. I think this is a buff to Lianji. Yeah, this build path is better. Luden's Companion is finally getting some love, guys. I've said this item is by far the most underwhelming item of mana, and now it's gonna get buffed. Luden's Companion already gives you pretty good stats, and it's pretty cheap. Now it's gonna give you the fire ratio is gonna be different. So instead of 3 seconds per charge, it's gonna take you 12 seconds to get all charges immediately. So if you're 12 seconds, you need to wait 12 seconds to get all charges. So this is gonna be better. The base damage from the charge is going up by 15. So more damage from the charge, and the repeat damage is going also up. So it's still gonna be. It seems like it's still gonna be worse if you. It's still gonna be pretty bad if you use all your charges on the same target. But other than that, yeah, slight buff to Luden's Companion. I still don't think people are going to buy Luden's Companion over Malignance, Seraph, and Blackfire Torch. And then we have an assassin change, Voltaic Cyclosword. Voltaic Cyclosword will have a slightly different build path. Instead of Kircher Shard, which got removed, it's gonna have double longsword. And I think we went over all the PBE changes, guys, right? I think we went over all of them. This is it for now. So here we have Corki, we have Summoner Spell. I went over boots, I went over all of these items, I think. Yeah, it seems like I went over all of these items. I don't think there is much else. So yeah, certain items are looking, and then runes, I did this too. Solve Inspiration, Systems, yeah. Yeah, basically the TLDR, guys, is that ADC is going to be a weaker class in early game. Especially their first item spike is going to be bad. At 2 items, they will already be online. That's how I see it. Crit ADCs, I think, are going to be insane. Certain items are gonna be really good, like Abyssal Mask, I would say. Even they're gonna be very underappreciated. Mages overall, not much is changing besides Blackfire Torch being added to the game, which is going to be amazing for dot champions. Everything else is staying the same. Supports are getting almost no changes. Top laners, are getting very minimal changes. They already got nerfs on items this patch. So yeah, it's mostly looking like an ADC patch. I think summoner spells being nerfed. It's not a pre-recorded video, guys. Summoner spells being nerfed is going to be impactful. Runes being a little bit different. Yeah, what else is there? Am I missing something? The runes being changed. I mean, the runes being changed is basically just first strike is kind of nerfed a lot, and you won't be able to stack cookies and triple tonic in the same build. Whatever. The new runes and inspiration don't seem too exciting to me. I think it's looking quite an amazing patch. It's looking like an ADC patch. My prediction is CC is going to be completely overpowered. Crit champs are going to most likely be the meta. Yeah, and other than that, what are ADC with ADC players like, I don't know, what are ADC champions like Jinx and Ophelia going to rush? I think ADC might be PD rush into Infinity, might be Infinity rush into PD. Or it might be Collector rush into Infinity, something like that. So Samira will probably do Collector into Infinity, right? I'm not sure what's going to happen with Gangplank and Ezreal because they're losing Essence River and they really need a Shin item. Triforce is not as good as Essence River for some of these champions. Not sure what's going to happen with them. Shieldbow will need a buff. Nerd clowns are complaining you missed second Blackfire passive. Blackfire Torch passive, I missed this. Oh, for each enemy champion, epic monster, and large monster affected by your Baleful Blaze, you gain 4% ability power. Whoa, okay, so the item gives you like free AP. Huh, interesting. 4%. If you have 400 AP. Sorry, if you have 100 AP, it's gonna give you 4 AP. If you have 100 AP and you hit one champion, it gives you 4 AP. So if you're in late game, let's say you have 400 AP, it's gonna give you like 16 then, I guess? No, Ezreal, don't end the game. Then it gives you like 16 per champion, and then in the team fight you can get like 50 AP off it. Doesn't sound bad. In late game. Is it per champion? Yeah, it says for each enemy champion, epic monster and large monster. So on Baron you will also get it. Epic monster on like Grubs and stuff you will also get it. If you AoE all enemies, you get half of Rabadon's passive. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this... Like, Aesol does like this, guys, but Aesol cannot really skip Rylai and cannot really skip Lianji, right? And Aesol will already get a burn passive from Lianji. So I'm not sure if Aesol is gonna buy this, but... this passive seems kind of good late game, because if you have Rabadon and you're team fighting and you hit multiple champions because, for example, you're playing Hui and you do QE and everything hits, you're getting like a 50 AP for free pretty much while you're fighting. Yeah, doesn't sound like a bad passive. Karthus. Yeah, Karthus will just get, I guess, some free AP as well. This item does sound pretty good on Karthus, no? Actually, now that I think about it. But then again, Karthus wants Malignance for ult haste. Nah, Karthus is gonna buy Malignance too. Swain item. It does sound like a pretty good Swain item, yeah. But at the same time, it makes Swain kind of squishy. Swain needs HP as well. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Patch is looking quite interesting, guys. I'm very curious to see what is gonna happen with Yon, Yasuo specifically, and what's gonna happen with ADC rush item start. Are ADC is going to be rushing PD? Because I think they might. Are ADCs going to be rushing Infinity into PD? Is Yon gonna be rushing PD? Right? Because I don't think Kraken's gonna be rushed anymore because it doesn't go crit. Because the problem is, if you buy Kraken first item, let's say playing Jinx, you buy Kraken first item, okay, then you buy Infinity, you only have 25% crit on 2 items. That's kind of bad. Because if you went Infinity and PD, you would have 50% crit. So you want to get that crit going ASAP. With more crit in the game, I also think Randuin got indirectly a lot buffed because, well, it's going to be easier for champions to get 100% crit chance. And Randuin has a very broken passive, which is critical strikes deal 30% less damage to you. So it's an exhaust, basically, if you have 100% crit. But yeah, that's it for the patch, guys. It's gonna be exciting, especially if you're an ADC player. I'm also gonna play some ADC Smith here and there. That's gonna be it.